All right, let's get right into movie 3. I am going to hold Command Option and make a copy of the AM FM. So I'm holding Command Option, I'm just dragging it for the word Cirrus. All right. Now I want to go back here and I want to make sure that this is not a font. I want to convert this to outlines. So I'm going to only do this once, but next time I'm going to go to Shift Command O and watch how it turns that right into outlines. Now that is smart. That's how you give a job to the client. You don't leave it as text. Now let's click over here. Let's hit the T key. Let's type in. I'm trying to do the rest of them. I would love it if this was the last movie. So let me go to XM. And let me just type in XM, and then I'm going to drag across it, and we're going to go to a bigger point size. Sorry, I have to put it over here because I like using this one. And let's just now pick it up, and I'll put this one right over here, and that is fairly good here. Let me hit the T key and go backwards, and now that's close enough for government work. So hit Command S to save, Brian, and in a few minutes I'm gonna need that in a few minutes. So watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hold Command Option and put a copy down here, but now we're gonna get close to this one. Since I have a copy of it, I'm good to go. I can go Command Shift O and create outlines, right? So Command S to save. Now, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let's now make the little circly things. So how do we do that? We cut a big circle apart and we just play with it very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to take the L key and I'm going to make a big circle starting somewhere in the center down here. So I'll zoom out a little bit. Whoops, let me zoom out. Starting in the center, I'm going to hold Option and Shift, and I'm going to make a circle. And I'm going to do it like this. Now I'm going to hit this flippy thing here, which flips the stroke and the fill. Now look at how I can take the C key. Since this is a beautifully concentric circle, I'm going to click right where the guides are. Now I'm going to take the selection tool and click on this and hit the delete key. Now all I have to do is ask this to have rounded corners and a little bit of a thicker line. So let's go to 1.5. And that's actually like 1.25. Okay, and I'm going to go to the stroke palette and click the circle-y thing right here. So that circle end now has a circle end right over here. Now, to make it that one, hold the Option key and squishy squash it until it's about the right size. Now, just squishy squash it like this, and you see how we can put it right in position. Now, do you see how the thickness got smaller? I have to introduce you to something, so I'm going to Command Z back twice. But there's something in Illustrator that's called Scale, Strokes, and Effects. Sometimes you want it on, sometimes you don't. In this case, I don't want it on, because scaling it down, it scaled my 1.25 stroke, made it too small. So I'm going to Command Z back. I'm going to go to Illustrator. There's another place for this, but I'm going to show you where it is mainly. I'm going to turn off. You see in the general preferences, I'm turning off Scale, Strokes, and Effects for a minute. Now, again, hold the Option key, grab this, and look at how I can go like this to the right width. I can go like this to there, and look at how nice that is. So I can kind of position this and make it right. Hold Command Option and go down. Now, hold the Option key and curve it in. Now make it a little bit less curvy. Actually, let's go up with it. And there you go. Now let's do it again. Hold Command Option and move it down. Then let go, hold Option again, make it the right width. Now let's make it the right bend. And let's just move this whole thing down just a skosh, and I have my little symbols right there. Now, it would be cool if I just grouped them. I probably don't have to, but let's just Command G to group them. Now, I'm going to hold Command Option and put them right there. So now I've held Shift after I held Command Option, right? So you're in the V key, you have them selected. You can hold Control Alt or Command Option and make copies, right? Okay. Now, how do we do this. All we have to do is go to what tool? Yes, the reflect tool. Grab the top one, hold the shift key, and you have it on the bottom. Now all I have to do is scoochy squatch it up and Cirrus is done. Now watch how fast this one gets done. Whoops, I need to center it. Don't go too fast, Mr. Sorio. Let's marquee the whole thing. Whoops. Let's hit the V key, marquee the whole thing. Whoops. Okay. I'll tell you what happened. When I copied this to this was grouped. So this went in that group. So I have to select this, go inside. I have to go to the A key. I'm sorry for this. I really am. But I have to grab this set of paths. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And I have to go find them right here. See them right there? See that group? I'm turning it off. See it? I'm going to move it out of the group up here. Okay, was that so hard to understand? Now I have them separated. Now I can marquee them. Mistakes happen all the time. Just learn how to get around them. So now I have them, and I can hit Command G to group, and now I have taken the word Cirrus XM, which wasn't really a word anymore, it was paths, and I can just type it like this. So Command S to save. Now let's move over for here. This one should go really fast. So I'm going to take the M key, start in the center, hold Option, and make a box. Now this one is going to get just clicked on the graphic style, the thinner one, the thinner graphic style. That's why I had two of them. I'm going to round off the corner. Now I'm going to hit Command C and Command F. I'm going to shrink it. So I'm going to take this one now and shrink it. I'm going to hold the Option key so it shrinks in from both sides. And I'm going to just move this one down here. I'm going to take the stroke off of this. And I'm going to lighten the screen. So I want this to go to a very light screen. So I'm going to take the G key first, and I'm going to have it move its way. Whoops, I have to have the fill in the front. Did you hear that? I have to have the fill in the front. So I take it like this, and I'm going to go up with the light value. So see how I'm making this very, very light. Now there is the start of my little phone thing. Okay, I can grab both of these, and I can hit the V key and position this where it's at, should be at 1 on the Y ruler, and now I have it up there. Now I'm going to use this for my buttons. Okay, so I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to hold the Shift key and make it really small. I'm going to zoom into it. I'm going to make this a solid value. So there's my button. I'm going to put it right over here, and I want you to see something really cool. Okay, so I am going to try to make sure that this one right there is going to be centered in the next one over. So just kind of watch how I do this. So I'm going to hold Command Option, click and hold on the, let me start over. I'm going to click away. I'm going to click on the button. I'm going to hit the V key, hold Command Option, and drag. Now, something cool in Illustrator. If I simply hit Command D, I duplicate another one. Now here's what we actually had underneath. Okay, so if I take this one, and this one, so I use the V key and the Shift key, I can group those. I don't really want to group them yet, but I could. But look, now I can center this on the 5 mark. So I can go to here and center those, and they'll be perfectly centered in the artwork. Now look at how cool this is. If I'm in the V key, I can hold Command Option and drag this down. Now, there's my second set of buttons, right? If I go Command D and Command D, I have all my buttons done. And there is my buttons for my phone. Now if I want to, I can select them all, group them, and then give them a little darker stroke on the bottom. So I can come into the stroke, give it a little darker stroke, a very thin darker stroke, like even 0.15. and not so dark. So how do I adjust this? I simply go into my color palette, double click the stroke, and look at how I can just adjust the stroke a little bit lighter. Boom. And now I have a little line around the buttons. Okay. For some reason that doesn't look centered in there. Let me make sure the whole thing is centered. So I'm going to click. I should have grouped these, which I am going to do. There's something funky about that, but I'm not going to take a whole lot of time. I am going to hit Command G right now, and I'm going to take and group the buttons. Okay, hit Command S to save. That should be on the 5-inch mark. Okay, these two things right here should be, oh, they weren't. These two things, either I moved them or something happened, but they're not on the 5-inch mark. They are now. See, it was off a little bit. That did bother me. Now I'm going to select the whole thing and hit Command G to group, and now this is my smartphone. And Command S to save. Okay, let's go right down to here and start with this. Now on this one, I'm going to go kind of quickly again. I'm going to take the P key and I'm going to draw this one. So if your cursor ever shows up, if your pen thing ever shows up as an X, it's because your caps lock is on. So I'm going to turn off caps lock. I'm going to draw half of this. So please kind of play with me here. Click and shift click. Let me move in. I'm going to pull out a handlebar with the shift key. I'm going to come over here and go shift key handlebar, so I'm clicking and dragging. Now I'm just going to go shift key click. Now I'm going to pull out a handlebar. Now I'm going to go over here and not hold the shift key. Now I'm going to go over here and just click. Now I'm going to pull out a handlebar. Now I'm going to go over here and hold the shift key and pull to this side. Now I'm going to go over here and pull a shift key this way and go straight up and pull a shift key. Whoops, my finger hit the edge of the microphone. And I'm going to go straight up to here and hold the shift key. Okay, I have half of this done. I want this half to be mirrored on the top. So I click my graphic style. That's cool. I'm going to go Command C and Command F. Now I'm going to hit the V key and move it up a skosh. Now I'm going to take the reflect tool, grab the bottommost one, hold the shift key and flip it for the top one. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the select tool, select away, select back on the top one, hold the shift key and put it up high. Now this drawing matches that drawing perfectly. So I'm going to now marquee both. Guess what? I'm going to go to the Pathfinder and unite them together. Perfect. Simple and perfect. All right. Command S to save. Now all I have to do is actually go steal these from here, or just redraw a circle. So if I hit the L key, I can go like this, hold the Option key, and redraw kind of like that right here. That's good enough. Actually, that's really good. And let me take the fill to nothing and the stroke to the darker blue. Okay, now let's cut it. So I'm going to take the C key. I should show you a trick. Because when I want to cut it perfectly straight down. So, well, I'll do it this way. I'm just going to pull a guide out and then I'm going to get rid of this guide. Okay, so this guide's going to go away in a second. So I'm going to take the C key and I'm going to click right where the guide is here. And I'm going to come straight down here and click right where the guide is here. Now I'm going to take the A key, marquee that guide, and hit the delete key. Did that make sense to you? Okay. And I had to hit 2 deletes. When you delete a path with the direct select, it takes 2. When you delete something on a path with the regular select, it takes 1. So I'm going to now click this one with the regular select, and it'll only take 1 click. It doesn't look like it actually is cut. I don't think I cut it. No, I didn't. I have to take the C key, and I think I cut the guide, for gosh sakes. So I need to take, I'm going to lock the guide up. Okay, I cut the guide, which is very interesting. Okay, now I cut the path. That was very interesting. I enjoyed that. You can now cut guides. This is very cool. Okay, I'm sorry, I cut the guide. So I'm going to take these two guides right here and throw them away now. Did you follow that? It just cut the guide, not the path. So I'm going to take the V key and click and hit 2 deletes, or 1 delete. Now I'm going to select this little dude, and if I go to my stroke palette again, you know that I can click the circle thing over here. So I'm going to put this down here so we can kind of have it over there. Now I'm going to hold the Option key and move this down so it becomes that one. Now let me actually pull this one down a little bit more and make this slightly thicker. Okay, that's good. Now this time I want it to scale down. See how it goes from bigger to kind of not so big? This is actually, I'll just leave it at 3. And then it gets smaller. So we're going to go to Illustrator, Preferences, General, and this time we're going to turn on Scale Strokes and Effects. Hold Command Option, Brian, move it over here, and now all I have to do is hold Option and Shift, and I can now scale it down. And now I can move it over. Whoops, I have to grab it like this and just move it over. And now I can go a little bit lighter. So I can double click this stroke and go a little bit lighter. So there's my second stroke. Now I can go Command Option. So hold Command Option or Control Alt. Hold the Shift key and move it over. Then hold Option and Shift and grab the corner so you're scaling and keeping the same proportion. And now I'm going to put this one back over here, and I'm going to double click this and make it a lot lighter. And now I have my nice looking thing right there. Okay? Now I want only this part of it. So let's marquee everything there with the selection tool. Hit Command G. And this one is my, I'll just say this is louder. Now I'm going to hold Command Option and I'm going to drag over here. I'm now just going to take this one and name it Softer. Then I'm going to take the Direct Select. See, I grouped it. If I click it with the selection tool, the whole thing selects. If I go to the Direct Select, I can click this one. Hit 2 deletes. See how cool? Click this one. Hit 2 deletes. Good. Now I can take the V key, let me hit Command S to save, marquee this, hold Command Option, and drag for this one. Now I don't need this, I just need the X. So let's take the Direct Select tool, click this one, hit 2 deletes. Let's go get the Cirrus XM and make a copy of it. Now all I need to do is take the Text tool, hit a capital X on it, go to the Direct Select tool, or in this case the regular Select tool, and just scale it up until it matches. I mean, that's very simple. I'll go to a semi-bold. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Oh, that is semi-bold. Let me go to a regular. Now let's move it over here. Let's put this one back over here. Now I don't want to leave this. First of all, I need to make sure it's in the center. So this one's at 4. So the transform over here has to go to Y at 4. Okay, this one has to go to Y at 4. I didn't even center any of these. So now let's take this whole thing and go to Y at 4. Okay, it was almost there. Let's take this whole thing and go to Y at 4 and Command S to save the file. Let's move it over. Now this should be pretty darn simple. This is just a rectangle with a very thin stroke. So hit your M key. Whoops, I didn't name this one now, did I? And I didn't even group it. So let's take the V key, marquee this, Command G to group, and this one is mute. Okay, Command S to save. Let's go over here. M key. Let's make a very quick thing here like this. Let's make the stroke be very small, like 0.5. And I'll make it slightly bigger, so let's move in. Let's hit the V key and hold the Option key so it gets like this. Okay, now let's come in here like this, and let's now make it nice and rounded. Let's hold the Option key and make it taller. Okay, that's good enough, and we're done. Okay, so now we hold Command Option, we make a second one, we group them together, Command G, and this is pause. Let's go over to this one. Let's use the same rectangle, but let's steal one of these triangles. So all I have to do is grab this and steal it, but I'm going to have to move it. Actually, no, because this one's all by itself. So I'm going to put a little triangle right here. This one's forward, but I'm actually going to have it as levels, but that's okay. So now, if I hit the E key, watch how I can turn this and it'll snap. Look at, if I hold the Shift key, it'll snap to 45 degrees and snap to this one. Now I want this one to be dark on the bottom, and I want to scale it. So I want the scale, strokes, and effects to go about that size. Okay, that fits beautifully right there. But I want the darkness on this one to be on the bottom. So I'm going to darken it a little bit more on the bottom. And I'm going to say, if you remember, the G key starts out with the left hand side and goes to the right hand side. So if I want light on the top, I have to work my way down like this, so I have dark on the bottom, just like that. Okay, so now I actually want a little bit more white here. So I'm going to double click this and make that one be a little bit more white up there. So now I like that. I think that has a good feel. Now I don't care that it's not centered. So I hit the M key, and now I make a little rectangle-y thing. And let's get close on it. I like the way it looks. Let's get close on it, round it off nicely so it's rounded off on both sides. Look at how cool that is. And I'm good with that level. Okay, but I want the gradient to go the other way. So I take the G key and I start on the bottom and work my way to the top. Now I have to change which one's in front. So this one has to go in front. That's Command Shift left bracket. Now let's align these two things. So let's take both of them just like this in the Align palette. Look at how I can align the center. Boom. Wasn't that cool? Now all I have to do is copy it once. So I take the V key, hold Command Option, and copy it for the second one. Then all I have to do is go Command D, Command D, Command D. Now I don't care if it lines up perfectly, but you can fix that. I can go like this and simply maneuver this over and it'll snap right in position. Now I want the arrows in a different place. So I take the A key, click in the middle of this, hold the Shift key, move one up, hold the Shift key, move one down, click in the middle, move it down a skosh, click on this one, move it up, and we have our levels. Marquee the whole thing, hit Command G, find it in here and call it levels, and save the file. Now this one should be on 5 and 4. So 5 on X, 4 on Y. I was pretty darn close. So now let's go over here. This one's going to be the hardest one, which doesn't really take a whole long time. Let me go back to this one and show you what it really looks like so you can get a good feel of it. Never draw something on an angle. Draw it, group it, then turn it. Okay, it comes out really fast. All we have to do is worry about these two colors and then gray and gray. I mean, that's pretty darn simple. So look at how I'm going to go to this one. Let's go down here and hit the M key and make a rectangle. Now this one I want to get and the size is totally up to you. You're the artist. So I'm going to round this off pretty good on this side right here, but then I'm going to use the direct select tool and round it off even more. So I'm going to go to the A key, click away, click back, and I'm going to round this one off even more here and I'm going to click on this line segment and round it off even more here. Then I'm going to grab this one and move it up. Whoops. I have to actually grab both of these, sorry, and move them up a little bit higher because I kind of want a little end to it. I want it to look a little different. So let me take the V key now, hold the Option key, and let's make it a little wider. Okay. Now, let's copy it. Click with Command Option, hold the Shift key, and move it over like this. Now, let's send this one to the back. Okay, so Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Now, let's shrink it. So hold the Option key and shrink it. And now I'm going to change, actually I kind of like it, but let's lighten up a little bit on the gradient. Okay, so with it selected, let's go double click this and let's lighten up on the gradient so it's not so bright. So it's not so dark there. And let's bring the light part of the gradient, let's click on the light part of this gradient and move it over this way. So now I have a little bit more of a light top and bottom. Okay, now let's take the M key. Let's make a rectangle. I don't really care that they're not centered. We'll center it in a minute. Let's just take the fill away, the stroke away, and let's take and make it a gray about that much with a line around it a little darker and only on like 0.15. Really, really small. Okay, now let's send it to the back. That's Command or Control Shift left bracket. Now don't worry about centering this. Okay, let's now copy it. So we take Command Option and Shift key and we put it in like this. Let's hold the Option key down and let's make this one a little smaller. Now let's put 2 points right here and here. Look at what we're going to do to it. You see how this tapers? It goes from here and then tapers smaller. Watch how fast you can do that. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to put 2 pen points. One real close here, and I know this is pretty horizontal right here. Whoops, I need to go right there. Now with these 2 pen points, I'm going to use the direct select, click, and hold the Shift key and click. Now I'm going to move them over. Now, please watch this. I know you're watching, but please pay attention, I guess what I'm saying. These are the only 2 points of that entire little rectangle that are selected, right? If I hit the E key for the transform tool, all I have to do is hold the Option key and I'm sorry, I have the wrong ones selected. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. If I click on this end one and Shift click on the end one, then these points are open. These points are solid. If I hit the E key and I click and hold the Option key, do you see how I can taper this to my heart's content? Do you see how these are the only 2 points affected by the transform box? I don't know how else to say it, but I'm saying it pretty good. So if you hold the Option key, you can make it anything you want. You can go out wider for whatever reason, or you can make it skinnier. I'll leave it skinnier. Now I'm going to click on that one with the V key and send it to the back. Command Shift left bracket. And there is your shape. Now let's make sure it's aligned. So I marquee everything and I go to the Align palette. Why don't we let it align itself this way? Look, center. Align on the vertical. In fact, let me move one of them down far enough so you can see how it's not aligned. I'm going to marquee it and I'm going to move in close. And now I'll click this one and you can see how, boom, it aligns itself perfectly. Okay, let's take the E key. That's the transform tool. Pick it up. Don't pick it up where the center is. I'll say it 3 times. Don't pick it up where the center is. Don't pick it up where the center is. Pick it up somewhere else, but not the center. And let's put it right here. Let's just rotate it in position and get it to about where we want it. And now Command S to save the file. Now let's make our other little thing over here. Okay, so this is going to be our input jack. All right. So I'm going to take the P key and I'm going to start drawing. I'm going to take and pull out a handlebar. I'm going to pull out a handlebar real nice here. I'm going to come over here and pull out a handlebar like this. Then I'm going to come straight over here and pull out a handlebar kind of like this. Now I'm going to take the stroke away, and I have now, take the fill away, and I have a stroke. I obviously have to have a wider stroke. So how do I make a stroke wider? Well, if you have it, see how the option is not available up here? I'm going to explain something. If I go to the selection tool and click it, then the option is right here, and I can have it here. But if I wanted to stay in the direct selection tool, no option here. But do you see how I can actually go over here and make the whole line thicker? And that's kind of why the stroke palette is so cool. All right, so I'm going to use the direct selection tool, and you're going to use your path capability that you learned from the very first exercise, and you're going to play. Remember, we're not about hurrying projects. We're about making good art. Now I might want to add a pen point right there. So I'm going to take the P key and add one. Now I can take the direct selection tool and kind of adjust it so it has a good feel. And I think that has a pretty good feel. And it has nice curves. I think it looks good just like this. Looks good like that. And let's round the corners off and make it a little bit lighter gray. So I bring the stroke to the front and I make it a little bit lighter gray. Then I want to send the whole thing to the back. So let's move in first and put this in the center. Select it, and let's go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. And now I have it the way I want. Now this shape is pretty easy. This Bluetooth shape is a P key. Let's just click, 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 and click. That's it. You're almost done. Now I'm going to make it the dark blue, and I'm going to make it a thicker one. So let's go to here and say that's fine. Now all I have to do is use my selection tool and click. Command C, Command F. Now I'll move it down like this a little bit. I'll go to my reflect tool. I'll grab the uppermost one, hold what key down, shift, and flip it. Now all I have to do is, I think I messed up. I think I have to do it again. Sorry, I didn't hold the shift key on this bottom one. It's my fault. This has to be a vertical one. So I'm going to take the P key, click with the shift key like this. There. Now I can go like this. Now I can go like this. And I didn't round off the corners anyway. So I select the whole thing, round off the corners, Command C, Command F, hit the V key, Brian, move it down, hit the reflect tool, hold the shift key and flip it. So you're flipping it just like this. Now go back to the V key and let's move it out of the way so I can watch when I move it inside that it's right where I want it to be. That looks good right there. Let's join the two of them together. So now this is what happens if you try to join two strokes together. Just so you know. Look, makes a weird shape. Okay? I don't want that shape. So I have to convert this stroke to an outline path. I'm going to say it again. I know this is pretty much over your head, but it's not really. It's just if this doesn't work, something has to work. Okay, so let me go Command Z. We're going to go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. So it becomes a shape. Now it's just a shape that can be joined together. Boom. Did you catch that? Okay, that was pretty important. Now let's go Command S to save. Let's leave that selected. This one is at 2 and at 5. So let's go 2 tabbing to 5. Let's make sure this one's in the center and I didn't group it yet. So this is the input jack. Command G to group. Let me name this input. And let's name this Bluetooth. Command S to save. And let's now hit the V key and click on this one. This one is at 1 and at 5. So let's go 1 and 5. I'm going to check yours. I don't care how pretty your art is. If it's not technically in the right place, then why do it in the first place? So now on this one, all I have to do is type in FAV and then make it the size that's reasonable. So I take the V key. Whoops. Again, you see how it's grouped with the one that's up here? I have to take the direct selection tool, click on this one, and find it in here. See how it's in the mute one? I have to find it. So it's inside here. Unfortunately, do you see how I had to open this layer palette to find it right there? I'm going to pick it up and put it in its own place. Now it's its own thing. It's not in that mute group. See the mute group? It's no longer in there. So I'm going to take it with the V key and make it a bigger size and put it right there. Go to 3 and 5. So let's go to 3, tabbing to 5. Boom. I'm almost done. Let's hold Command Option and put this over here. Type in menu. And let's now take this one at 4 and at 5. So this one's at 4. Whoops, that's not 4. And this one's at 5. I already have it at 5. And hit the return key. And now these should not get left as fave and menu. They're actually fonts. So I need to select them both. Don't forget. Go to Type, Create Outlines. Now I have to find them again, which is right there. And I have to type in FAV for favorite. And menu is MENU. Save the file. And the last one is pretty simple. Just draw 2 mountain shapes. I'll start with the bottom. So I'll start with no fill and no stroke. So I'll go over here, hold the Shift key, pull out a handlebar with the Shift key. Go over here, hold the Shift key. I'll move it down like this. Okay. Now hold the Shift key, come over here, Brian. Then go click, click. And if you want to make it exactly, you don't have to. It's not important to make it exact. It's just one graph in front of the other for equalizer. So let's go over like this. Let's just go like this. I'm just going to kind of go fast because we are at the limit of your patience, and I know you're tired watching this, but watching Illustrator in action is, to me, pretty cool. So now let's make this one be a fill of the darker color. Now all I have to do is go hold Command Option or Control Alt and make a second one. Let's make it the lighter color. Let's send it to the back. Okay, so let me hit the V key and I can stretch it up a little bit. Command Shift left bracket, and let's move it over a little bit. And you can see here how I have a reasonable equalizer graph. If I go and marquee both of them, I don't have to join them together, I just have to group them. Command G to group. Let's go over here to equalizer. Hopefully I spelled it right. And Command S to save. Let's make sure this one's at 5 and at 5, which it's totally not. 5, tabbing to 5, return key. There is your demo. Now, let me put the stroke over here. Let's put the transform back over here. I should actually just hit Command S to save. Close my art layer. I don't need now, there's my art layer. There's my template layer, which if you want to use mine as a template layer, go back and see how I actually copied the whole thing in. And you're welcome to do that. Just don't turn it in with the template layer. Okay, so there's my art layer. Command S to save. I'll even give you this one. So this is Brian's demo file, so you can see it. All right. I'll even give you it. It'll have the reference layer inside of it, so you can see it. And I'll also give you this one. That is the finished version of the orange one. All right, but remember, Command S to save. I'm sorry, I'm paranoid. Let me go close this one and close this one and let me save this one. Yes. Okay. So now this one's at 747. Let me make sure that this is the one. Let me color it red so I know which one it is. And where's the other one? That's 747. I've got to find it. 666707. Oh, maybe I didn't need to save that one. Let me see if that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. That's cool. Okay, so it's that one and that one. All right, so those are the ones I'm going to give you. Remember that I am totally open to you building your portfolio and starting now. Having vector in your portfolio is really important. And for those of you that had the patience to listen to the last part of the last movie, I'm all about portfolio. You know that. So would you please have fun? Just give this one a shot. Okay, you can see how I did all of them in an hour or 2 or 3 or whatever, and you have all week. So take care. I'll see you on the next exercise.